Years ago, friends of ours, our boys were kind of about the same age, friends, loved to hang out together, do things together. We did things together as families, went to the same church, served at the same church. One morning on Sunday, they weren't there to serve the kids' ministry. One day turned into a couple weeks turned into longer, and reached out, find out what was going on. And unfortunately, what was going on was terrible, and it ended in divorce. The lady, the mother, the friend, didn't feel comfortable going to our church anymore. It's hard to explain why, and many times trying to bring it up in conversation, it was something that maybe I didn't even want to talk about. But she said she felt ostracized. She felt like she was cast out, like she was the one who did wrong. She never went back to that church. Now that is a lot different than our story today, but it's still the same. In that we as Christians, and even religious leaders, we have a hard time remembering that we were once sinners. We have a hard time remembering that we struggle, that we do wrong things, that we do things that we shouldn't do. We think the thoughts that we shouldn't think. I had a pastor friend of mine who had a newcomer to the church that came a couple times. She tried to shake her hand. She avoided him. And when he finally got a chance to talk to her, she had been avoiding any contact with the leaders of the church because the last church that she went to, the leaders of the church blamed her for her husband having an affair. How is it that we as Christians have gotten to the point where we would rather blame and condemn people rather than be like Jesus and give them grace and mercy? We like to remember the Old Testament, and we like to remember how the law gets broken and God does judgment. But we forget, like the story we're going to talk about today, that we're all sinners. And we're saved by grace. And that none of us are worthy of the great gift that God gives us. Our story today is from John chapter 53 through chapter 8, verses 11. It's the story of a woman that gets caught in adultery, and she gets dragged out before Jesus. It's just after the issue in the temple where they sought to arrest him, and he evaded arrest and capture. And now they put this lady in front of Jesus. She's in the temple courts with Jesus. There's no defense, no trial. And the law says that they could stone her to death. And if you read some commentaries or even Google it, you'll find that more than likely this lady was caught in the act. More than likely she was drugged there, probably didn't even have anything to cover her. They probably pulled her right out of bed. One question that I have is, where's the man? But there she is in the temple courts, dragged there, and she is probably thinking she's dead. So there's a couple things there that I want to point out. First, that it was a trap. Jesus knew it was a trap, and he set his own trap in whatever it was that he wrote. So they bring her in, dead to rights, caught her in the act. She's guilty, and they are setting that trap for Jesus to condemn her so that she can be stoned to death. And what Jesus says is, let them who are without, or let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Meaning that those who are sin-free, they can go first and kill her. But then he stoops down and he writes something. And whatever it was, we don't know. Lots of places you can look it up and Google it and argue about it. But it doesn't matter. Whatever he wrote was powerful enough that John points out that it was the oldest that left first, and then one by one the others left, till there was no one left but Jesus and the woman. And he stands up and he asks the woman, where did they go? Who condemns you? And she says, no one, sir. And so he says, go and sin no more. Even though he gave mercy, it didn't erase the sin. He didn't tell her, hey, you're good. Go do, keep on being you. He said, go and sin no more. So he acknowledged the sin, but he gave her mercy. And mercy is not getting what you deserve. Grace is getting what you don't deserve. And so he gave her mercy. He let her live. He didn't condemn her, but he told her, go and sin no more. And I think the last thing I'd like to point out is that this message is timeless. I mean, it's so easy for us to get up on our moral high horse and condemn others and think, who are they? Why would God forgive them? Or we caught them in the act and we demand justice. But think about all those times that someone could have demanded justice against you. Now, maybe you're that type of person that has never done anything wrong, never lied or gossiped or stolen anything. Great. But those people are very few. And for most of us who have done stuff that we're ashamed of, and sometimes we keep doing things that, like Paul says, I keep doing the things that I don't want to do, and I don't do the things that I want to do. That's where God's grace and mercy comes in. Yet those of us who experience God's grace and mercy every day forget to give it. It's our human nature. It's always going to happen. And this verse will always be brought back into our memories because we're human. But please go this week and remember God's grace and God's mercy, and God's peace. May it be upon you. Have a great week. God bless you.